This is the Lamon Evaporative Humidifier. Now, this differs from a lot of the ultrasonic humidifiers you may see on Amazon. So I want to dive into the differences, the advantages, some of the disadvantages, and we'll dive into kind of the details on how this one works. So this product was sent to me to review. I've already opened it up here, but inside you're going to find this big filter. Now, this isn't really like an air filter, although it will help a little bit with some of, like things like pet dander and kind of big objects kind of floating around. You can actually see a little bit of pet hair on the filter already. But the way this works is you fill up this basin with water, and this big filter, it's a wicking filter. So it will wick up the water in the basin, and then there's a fan on the top here, which you can see right there, that pulls air in through the sides. So this whole perimeter here is perforated. So all the air comes in through the sides, through that filter that's moist with the water that it's wicking up, and it pulls that moisture through evaporation up the top of the humidifier. So there are a few advantages of that. So number one, it's kind of self-regulating. So with ultrasonic humidifiers, it's just constantly going to be adding moisture to the air no matter what. That's why sometimes if you've ever used some of those before, you might have like a puddle of water on the floor around the device. With an evaporative humidifier, it's kind of self-regulating. So the higher the humidity is in the room, the longer it's going to take for this to add additional humidity, because natural evaporation slows down in higher humidity environments. Now, in the bottom here, you'll also see there's a ceramic filter. I'm not really too impressed with this because, it doesn't force the water to kind of circulate through that filter. So I'm not really sure exactly how much that really does. But, as long as you're putting clean water in this thing, it's not really a big deal. The other thing I like about this is how easy it is to fill with water. So a lot of devices, you have to remove the top in order to fill it. But with this one, you can literally just pour it right through the top in order to fill up the reservoir without having to remove any parts if you don't want to. They've also got this little reservoir in the middle for essential oils or any sort of aromatherapy you want to add. Just the airflow coming up through the top of the humidifier will distribute the scent for you. Now, to use the device, you've got a touch screen right here. So you just tap this button to turn it on. The fan starts automatically. And as long as you have water in the device, it's going to evaporate and increase the humidity in the room. So it has a sensor that'll tell you the current relative humidity in the room. But if you press this button right here, you can set a target for the relative humidity. So it goes from 40 to 75. And so if I set it at 50, it'll keep the fan on until it reaches that humidity, and then it'll turn the fan off until it lowers below that relative humidity target. You can also change the fan speed. So there's 3 different settings for the fan speed in order to increase the rate at which humidity is added. And there's also a timer. If you want to just turn it off after a certain number of hours, you can do that as well. It does have a UV light and ionizer on the inside of the device there. That is on by default, but they also give you this remote control here, and you can toggle that with this button right here. So you get all the other controls built right into this remote as well. So power, humidity, fan speed, timer, and a sleep timer as well. Down at the bottom, there is a little window here so you can monitor the water level in the reservoir. And it's really quiet. So it's on right now. You probably can't even hear the fan as I'm speaking here. So I really like that. But the only thing I will caution you is if you don't plan on running this all the time, you want to make sure the filter has a chance to dry out. Otherwise, you can have mold issues if this thing's just sitting in water, not being used. So that's one thing you have to be careful of. And you're going to want to replace this filter at certain intervals depending on how much you use it. But other than that, I kind of like the evaporative humidifiers more than the ultrasonic ones, just because it's a much more kind of gentle, self-regulating humidity in the room instead of like seeing that mist kind of floating around and puddling up on things that are near the humidifier. So that's my review of this Lamon evaporative humidifier.